You're listening to the Ones Ready podcast, a team of Air Force Special Operators forged in combat with over 70 years of combined operational experience as well as a decade of selection instructor experience. If you're tired of settling and you want to do something you truly believe in, you're in the right place. Now here's your host, PJ team leader, jiu-jitsu lover, meme enthusiast, and dad joke aficionado, Aaron Love.
Welcome, everybody, to the Ones Ready podcast. You are here in the team room with the entire squad, plus very special guests. We always want to start off with gratitude, and we want to say thank you guys for engaging on the Instagram, for engaging on the Facebook, for following what we're doing, for going and posting your workouts and telling us what you're doing during this quarantine, because we feel your pain as well. We are stuck inside, don't get to go out a whole lot. When I do get to go out and work out, I've been using my new mainframe rug from Everly Stock, so I want to give a shout out to those guys. Thanks very much. We have friends that have helped us get to where we are now. We're like sort of mildly famous. From what I understand, there are like tens of listeners of this podcast, so no big deal. Thanks for helping us get to where we are.
All of them are family members, though. So
all of them are all of them are family members. And actually, I had an aunt troll me about it, so it was pretty good. I had to block her. It was a whole thing. But we want to say thanks to all those people that have helped us out. Go check out Alpha Brew Coffee if you need to re-up some of the best coffee on the market, or if you need some extra energy, go check out Strike Force. They're all our friends. They all, great businesses as well. So go throw them some support while you're doing your online shopping. So to the heart of the issue this week on the team room, you guys have asked about it. Guys and girls have asked about a million times. Can you get an officer on? We want to know a little bit more about TACP. So we got you the Air National Guard episode last week, and now we're going to get into it again, and we're going to talk about the TACP pipeline assessment selection with our friend Amanda. Welcome, Amanda. How are you doing?
Pretty awesome. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it was a pleasure to have you. We begged her to come on. Amanda has a really distinctive story that we're going to get into here. Amanda, just start us off with how did you get into the Air Force, and what job did you do first before, spoiler alert, you went through TACP assessment selection?
So I went to the Air Force Academy and I graduated in 2008. And going there, I wanted to be a fighter pilot. And
okay, it makes a lot of sense, right? Yeah.
As one does, I saw Top Gun one too many times, and then we did.
Top Gun's a Navy movie. I hate when people say that. Well, how dare you? You want
to? You know what? It helped out the Air Force's recruiting.
Absolutely. And then you don't have to be in the Navy, so it's pretty awesome.
Ooh, yeah.
So I decided that the idea of being a pilot was cooler than actually being a pilot. So I decided that I didn't want to fly, and I went with force support. So that's what I commissioned into in 2008. So
yeah, I want to talk a little bit about that. What is force support? So for people that might have like no idea, what does force support do?
It is a little bit of everything. So it's the personnel section, human resources, where you get your evals taken care of, decorations, your ID cards, SGLI, and then it comes to under the umbrella is the dining facility, the fitness center, you got the bowling alley, the child development center, you got the youth center, and then we also do mortuary and search and recovery.
Yeah, and that was actually something when we talked prior to the podcast a couple of weeks ago. That was actually an aspect that I was pretty shocked at when you said that you had been on recoveries. Can you go into kind of that mortuary affairs section of the job, because that's interesting. I don't think people really understand exactly what force support does as far as that goes.
Yeah, it's such my airmen have such a huge spectrum of stuff. They're the ones who are at the fitness center, and then their additional duty is search and recovery and mortuary. So if an airman dies overseas, we help get them out, all of their equipment out. So the bag and tag, get you out, drape the coffin with a flag, salute you out, make sure you're good to go going back. I, as the mortuary officer, you inspect the fallen airman and make sure that everything is good so that we can get you to your family as good as possible. And then when we receive on the other end, we make sure that you get into your service dress and then you get back to your loved ones. So it's pretty heavy. I'll tell you, there's nothing more humbling than seeing my NCO pin a name tag on a fallen airman's chest. You're just like, Holy cow. And it was my first day as a mortuary officer. Like I showed up and somebody had died, and I was, it was like this out of body experience. And my NCO was just like, let's take care of them. And, talking to the fallen airmen. And it's just so amazing. So it's very humbling. So that's the mortuary piece. So not just from people overseas, but I was at Shaw before, and we dealt with a lot of suicides, car accidents. So we make sure that you get back to your loved ones and all of your belongings. And then the search and recovery is if there's a downed aircraft, we after the scene is cleared, we go in and we basically, me and my airmen, we get in a line and we step until we find all of the fallen airmen. And then we'll sift through everything to get as much of the belongings as possible.
Yeah, it's crazy. And, I think we talked about it, but I've done a couple of aircraft recoveries before, and I was kind of shocked. I never, usually we're there like right when it happens, we clear everything out and we leave. But it was really interesting to hear that, there was somebody, specifically you, on the back end and force support that actually provides that function. So that's cool. How long did you do force support?
I have been going on 12 years.
Got it. Dang. Cool.
So 12, like when did you first hear about special warfare? So like I know we have a pretty good group of people at the academy that work out on a regular basis. We get a lot of stows and crows and ALOs out of there.
Absolutely.
But I'm just kind of curious throughout your journey, because everybody kind of hears about it at a different point in time, and they hear different things about the entire community and what interested you. So yeah, when did you first hear about it and what got you going?
Yeah, it's a roundabout way. I think it was the Sandhurst guys. There's like a team that goes out and competes at school, and it's usually all the guys who go stow, crow, ALO that are competing. So I remember like seeing this team of these crazy guys running around doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and being at school, like we weren't allowed to do it. So I was like, oh, that's cool. And then just like going about my day. And when I was at school, like my friends who know me at the academy call me Amanda 2.0 because I wanted nothing to do with any of that when I was at school. Like I distinctly remember like having to do land nav for an exercise and being like, this is the dumbest thing ever. I'm never going to know how to do this. And just like literally like sulking through the woods, thinking how dumb it was. And then there I was 10 years later in the woods, like doing land nav, like idiot.
Probably still going, this is so dumb.
Yes, exactly.
You've never been more mad until you have been hopelessly lost in woods at night by yourself with a map because you got yourself there. You can't get yourself out and you just hate yourself. It makes me so mad.
Yes. Except for me, I got myself wedged under a tree. So I was really mad. Because you got to go straight. You got your ruck on and you're going straight, and then the branches get pretty gnarly. So most of the dudes could like smack the branches out of the way and they'd break. Well, I'd smack the branches with my rubber ducky and they'd smack me back in the face. So I stopped smacking the branches because I was getting kind of, cut up. But so I went under the branch and then under another branch, and then I got like wedged. And there was like a 5-minute period where I'm like, they're going to have to come machete me out. Like I'm stuck. I'm alone.
Can't go through it. Can't go over it. I'm going to go under it. All right.
Exactly.
You just took that getting stuck alone out there to a whole nother level. I mean, stuck and under a branch.
Please tell me that somebody needed to help you out of this predicament. Did you get out of it on your own?
No, I eventually made it. Like I was like, there's no way. I would never be able to live that down. Like,
can you imagine?
Down, so it's just sheer will. Like literally like digging myself a hole in the ground.
At some point, pride takes over.
It's sad.
You must have at least been a captain, because if you were a lieutenant, you just would have been stuck forever.
Exactly. I was a captain, yes. Lucky me.
You'd be doing the podcast from that tree.
Like, so I live in the woods now. This is great.
I'm a woods person. That's it. I was a walking person, and now I'm a woods person. This is it. Now I'm just home.
So, like, taking a step back and going into your, force support, like, what was the trigger that really pushed you to like, okay, yep, I'm going to cross train. This is what I want to do. This is the right path for me.
There is a few. So I talked about like Amanda wants nothing to do with this. Well, Amanda, I commissioned as a lieutenant, and then I was told I was deploying. I was like, cool. First lieutenant. And they're like, you're going to Iraq as an air advisor. I'm like, what the hell is that? And they're like, so we just kind of came up with this term. We don't really know. So they send me to issue. They're like, here's your grenade pouch. I'm like, what? Like they gave me like a cop issue and then something that involved a grenade pouch and then something else. I'm like, I'm force support. They're like, it's on your list. And then they send me to, what is the mini SEER again, ECAC. And they're like, so who's cops? They're like, we're cops. Who's weather? We're weather. They're like, what are you? Force support. They're like, what the hell are you doing here? I don't know.
Don't know. Let's get this thing going.
So what I told you.
Here's a grenade pouch. Do you need this?
What do I do with this?
I brought you your grenade pouch. Yeah.
What do you like to talk about? I've spent a lot of time in the woods.
Exactly. It's like, can I put snacks in the grenade pouch? Is that acceptable?
Yeah.
So anyway,
yeah, listen, you're talking to the world's foremost expert on keeping food on him at all times.
Exactly.
Peaches, ladies and gentlemen. Of course.
I knew I liked
He knows
it.
exactly what snacks will fit in that grenade pouch.
See, I feel
I'm good at Tetris. I can fit it all in.
You're my spirit animal because I deal with hanger issues, so I need snacks at all times. Like I am literally eating all day long.
Brian is essentially a walking zombie, but he would totally agree with you if he wasn't dead, because Brian's working on about 4 hours of sleep right now.
Oh man,
a little bit less than that, and I've just been
That's 4 for the week.
Yeah,
finals, right?
Yeah. Finals going on right now. I'm doing test after test, working in the ER. And the kids, as soon as I came home, are screaming, and it's a whole lot of fun. So. Anyway, don't mind me. I'm just going to be miserable over here, but
That's
continue.
Fine. I'll keep talking.
Yeah.
So anyway, I go to air advisor training and we had, they made us fire a bunch of weapons that I'd never done. Like, it was like, you're firing your M16 and now it's out and now you're firing your M9, like all this stuff. Like switch it to your left side. You're going to roll in the dirt. You're shooting at targets and like aggressive driving. And then they made us do Army combat lifesaver training, which prior to that, blood kind of made me queasy. And then they're like, well, you're required to respond. Like now that you have this training, and they made us like watch a whole week of gore, and then it like got it out of me. So that deployment hardened me up, that training as an air advisor. And then I did a year in Afghanistan. And that's when it was 13 to 14. I was with the Army, the Joint Task Force that did detention operations and rule of law for Afghanistan. So that was pretty cool. But I mean, being with the Army is, a little rough sometimes. So that hardened me up too. But women still weren't allowed.
Yeah. I was going to say, you say being with the Army is rough, and yet you decided to go that route.
I know, right? Which is funny.
Yeah.
So anyway, so 2015, my friend calls me. She's like, yo, I got invited to participate in the Women in Service Review at Lackland. I was like, I don't even know what that is. She's like, we're trying to get women into combat. I was like, I'll go. Like, I'm kind of in shape. Like, let's do this. And then after those 2 weeks there, I met my friend JZ, just tough as hell chick, just like motivating and made me better, pushed me harder, and just my battle buddy through all those crazy things that I'd never done before. And then after a week, so they have the exercises and then they have you do the core tasks. Like after doing those tasks, I was like, I think I want to do this. This is pretty amazing. And that's right about when they were lifting the ban. So originally I was looking at Crow because I love the mission so much, but I didn't know how long, like I could pass the pass test, but like, that's like my peak fitness, like, well rested, etc. Like I didn't know how much farther I could push, and I was more comfortable on land anyway. I love hiking, loaded pack, just naturally my state on land. So I went with TACP.
Boom.
Which is a better fit.
Yeah, people ask us all the time too, and they'll be like, "Hey, I'm in between, a couple career fields." That's really awesome that you kind of laid out your reasoning there. You're like, "Hey, I think I'm a better fit for this. These are the things that are pushing me towards TACP." So, yeah, that's really really good input, especially for the people that listen to us.
And so I do some programs and stuff. I run another thing called How to Be a PJ, and there's a lot of crows and women that ask me, you know, what are the hardest things that you've seen women? I haven't had any women students, honestly, when I was an instructor, but what was the kind of hardest thing for you, like your limitations? I know pull-ups and rucks are usually a little bit harder for women, but it sounds like you got rucks in the bag.
Yeah.
Swimming's usually easier from what I've seen, and the feedback that I've been given based on the programs and stuff. But how did you kind of get training and get going, and how did you overcome whatever obstacles you ended up having physically?
Oh man, that was like 5 questions.
Yeah, I know. We want to wrap it all up.
That's fine. We'll start with the first one. What did I have challenges with? Rucking, I was always at least top half with my class or with my team, so that was good. And pull-ups, I was doing 14 perfect ones, going on 15, so that was pretty good. Runs were easy. It was as soon as you put the LBE on me and I had to run with weight. I was completely unprepared for that because I had done rucking, I had done plenty of running, but as soon as you put that LBE on with the full canteens, I was like, holy shit, what is this? Like every day at PT was something I'd never done before, and I was just like, oh my god, like what? No one told me. So
yeah.
That was a shocker.
Kind of in that vein, because I actually had it written down. I wanted to ask that exact question. Was, you know, what were some things that kind of shocked you, right? So what were those things when you got there that you were just like, holy crap? Were there any other things where when you were at selection that you thought back, you were like, crap, I wish I would have known to train for this sort of event?
Oh man. Well, for me, nobody taught me how to get a heavy ruck on, because I was fine with the lower weights. You know, you swing it over your head, but when you're at the 95 pound, like it was suddenly like I'm swinging and I'm like, oh shit, swinging. And then eventually I would get it. So we would do our ruck layout after the rucks, and you have to cut your stuff out. So now I have that 45 pound plate shifting around, and I couldn't get it over my head. Like I just absolutely could not do it. So I'm like on the ground, and I like literally like try to get up and like turtled. I was like, shit. Like that was like the lowest moment for me. I was so frustrated because I could not get up. And luckily one of my guys just like gives me his hand and just like pulls me up, like sees me struggling and gets me. But I was unprepared. And then it's so funny because my husband, he's Army right now, but like I called him that day. He's like, no one taught you how to get up? Like he showed me how to get up with a heavy ruck. He's like, yeah, we learned at Ranger School. I was like, that would have been way better.
Information I could have used yesterday, honey.
Yes, instead of me turtling on the ground in front of 40 dudes, like help me.
So besides the physical stuff, and I know we talk a lot about the physical, but like, how did you prepare your mind psychologically for everything that was coming your way? Obviously, there were a lot of surprises, and you made it past that first 90-pound ruck, I'm assuming. Like, so what did you do specifically? What books did you read, or did you do anything to condition your mind for the challenges that you knew were headed your way?
I think I was fortunate for the deployments that I'd had before to kind of get me into that tougher mindset. And then I had some really good TACP mentors, Chachi Pachesa, Dill Bickle. Like,
drop them names.
I'm sorry. I'll drop them names.
I have to. And why do I have to drop his name? Because Chachi, this is before I even went to Wizard stuff. He's like, I heard you want to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. I was like, of course I want to. And he's like, I'm going to get you to airborne school. Like he never looked at me as a chick. He just looked at me as someone who had a desire to go somewhere, and he was wait.
There. They never looked at you as a what?
Chick.
Like, you're a woman?
Whoa. I know. It's shocking.
I never thought that.
It's not even that I'm surprised about. The fact that I can't. Can we use chick? Can we use that right now?
That's what I was going to say.
Is that okay now?
That's the world we're living in. Like
that is the world we're living in right now.
We're worried about what pronoun.
Finally.
I have a female friend. It's totally cool.
I used it.
I have a female friend. It's totally cool.
She's already broken that glass ceiling. We can use chick. All right, cool.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
cool
it.
dude, cool chick. 2 Chachi-isms.
Yeah.
So.
Chachi and Dill are good dudes.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so walk us. What was your closest call during the TACP assessment and selection? What did they call it back then? So when you went through, it was called what?
Like at the schoolhouse?
Yeah, so the initial selection, punch in the mouth down there. So when you went through, what was the name of the course?
Oh, so I did the ALO aptitude assessment, the AAA.
Okay, and then what did that consist of?
God, endless calisthenics. I think I blacked out. We just did cals for hours, and then leadership tests.
Got it.
Cool. Through there. Yeah, that's kind of a blur. But you take the pass. You get your ruck timed, and then in between there, you get yelled at a lot. Lots of cals, problem solving, and then we did it was the basic prep course, and then it was just the 3-level at the schoolhouse, the TACP.
So with the assessment and all that stuff and through the pipeline, if you had to pick your favorite and your least favorite event, what would they be?
Oh God. Anytime we had to run in LBE, I struggled because usually I was a captain, so I was in charge. So I never liked to be behind. Like I like to be near the front. And so anytime I fell behind, I'd get really pissed. Or anytime we had to do, over tons and tons and tons of pull-ups. It was just my pride. I hated people having to help me. And there were dudes that needed help on their pull-ups too. But as a captain, you can't, I didn't like that at all.
Yeah. Well, before we get to your least favorite, I think that's actually a good point because we have received questions on that from people that are aspiring TACP officers, stows, crows, or even cross trainees, and they want to know kind of what is expected of them as an officer going through assessment and selection in the pipeline. Can you touch on that a little bit before we hear about your most favorite part?
I would just say you have to have your shit together because not only do you have to take care of yourself, you have to take care of your dudes and possible ladies. You have to. It's not just about you at that point, and that's where I ran into some issues at the schoolhouse when I went to field because I wasn't eating enough, and I eventually almost passed out in the field, and that's how I had a med wash the first time I went through because I wasn't eating. I was just too stressed out, taking care of my guys. But you have to take care of yourself so you can take care of other people.
Yep.
First,
I completely agree.
Yeah, and it's the team that gets you through. But as the officer, you don't want to be the weakest link. You want to be leading from the front always. You don't want them to be dragging you around.
Oh yeah, and how much did you lean on your NCOs?
Oh my gosh, always. NCOs make stuff happen, yeah. I
know. That's what we do. We execute things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
all right.
Other than getting stuck in a tree well and then getting glued to the earth by your ruck, that's your worst one. What was your favorite one? What event did you walk into and you knew you were just I'm going to smoke this. I'm ready for it.
The pass test. I was doing great. That was the best I'd ever done. I was crushing it. I was running 9:30, getting faster, 14 pull-ups. It just kept going 55, 57 push-ups, which is great for a female. So 65, 70 abs.
That's great for a lot of people.
That's great for a lot. Yeah, you got to put it in context. You start putting yourself in that regular person bucket, and those push-ups and pull-ups are starting to smoke people. That stupid Instagram challenge of 10 push-ups where everybody tagged each other. I was 0, 0, 0. I could do this all day. None of those counted.
Yeah.
What about mine?
You heard me. 0. Not a single click. Just silence.
So I actually just have another question about the female because you're bringing it up, the female aspect. I don't want to go in too crazy on this, but I do get a lot of messages girls coming in. They ask, what do you think about a girl coming in and being able to do that stuff? Sounds like you had physical stuff in the bag. What were the challenges that you had specifically, being a female, if any, or if you had smooth sailing and everyone responsive, then,
No,
I just wanted to put it out there.
My airmen and my lieutenants were great. They would give me feedback if I needed it. I was told to not bark at the dudes so much as
like
feedback.
Actually bark or just like
No.
yell at them?
Like DMX?
Exactly. That's exactly where I was.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want Nikki to just jump in there and put some kind of DMX. You think this a game?
You think this is a game? Oh, Earl Simmons. I love you, Earl Simmons. He's not dead. I just shout out.
Yeah, during the prep course, they get pissed because you have to do the inspection ahead of time, and I'm like with my guys with the flashlight to make sure that they shaved or sending them back to make sure that they're tight. And sometimes they get pissed if I'd make them go back. So, because obviously I don't have to shave. So they get pissed because they're, they have to go do it again. Well, one day I listened, like, fine. You don't want me to criticize? You don't want me to talk? And then we got smoked, destroyed. So then they listened from then on. But
well, it's just a shame, like, as you're just getting the world handed to you on a platter for not shaving. The worst part about it is you can't even enjoy that win because you're getting smoked and you're like, I told you all this was going to happen.
Exactly. Yes.
He didn't say anything after that. He wasn't like, sorry, or should have listened to you or anything.
He did. Yeah, he never like, hey, my bad. My B, you were right. Sorry.
Yeah. Like, oh.
I mean, I think 4 hours into that smoke session, like it was the worst day. It was just a really rough morning. It's like, yeah.
Was that your worst day in the pipeline? What was your worst day? What was the worst day of the pipeline?
And the prep course was rough just because that was a gut check the whole time, just being smoked. So
you're saying every day was the worst day of your life? Okay, great. Yeah.
It wasn't
right then.
It wasn't the worst. It just every day presented a new challenge with something I'd never done before. Okay. So I wouldn't say there was any worst days. The worst day was the day that I washed out.
Oh, well, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Well, that was actually what we used to say to all of our teammates whenever we showed up for the day, and that was on the back of our grad shirt. Was today's probably going to be the worst day of your life? So we prepared ourselves every single day for the worst day of our life. So just on par with what you were saying there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We all know the worst day of your life, and it's every single day at selection, every single one.
Yep.
So yeah, we're kind of talking about it. Spoiler alert: you're not in ALO now. You did not succeed. If you want to go into it, you don't have to go into it a lot because that's not what we're focusing on, right? Like the fact that you got there, you got picked up, you got to the apprentice course. All of those things stand on their own as a huge testament to how hard you had to work and how proud you should be of your effort. To be honest with you, because you're one of 4 total that have even ever gotten that far. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. Like it really is. So I hope you hear that from me. But talk us through what happened at the end.
It was night navigation. So I missed my target by 143 meters. So it was just the compass, and you just go straight. And I hit a hard ball road when I wasn't supposed to. Like I hit cement. I was like, oh no.
Oh no, this is bad.
I am so lost. I'm so lost. So I get down my map, look like a turtle in the road, trying to figure out where the hell I am, and recalculate, revector, and just kind of living on a prayer, go that way. And then I just ran out of time. So I cut my dagger out to see how close I was, and it was 143 meters. So just short. Yeah.
Oh, that hurts.
I've been there land navin, and then all of a sudden you're a road and you're like, what? Wait a minute. There's not supposed to be a road right here. And you're like,
exactly.
I just went 3 clicks past.
I kind of alluded to it talking to Amanda before we came on here, but I did the same thing. I suppose a nav dive, and everybody knew the terrain, where you should be at kind of what time. I was like 15 minutes into my dive, and I could hear jet skis above me. I could see people shining flashlights down into the water, and I was in water that was like 7 feet deep. I was doing close circuit, and I was like, "Oh no, this is not right."
that was me too. You get into the weeds on the side.
Yeah, the weeds. Yeah, exactly. I was like, "Oh no, this is bad. This is terrible." So coming out of that, and I know that had to be a huge letdown, but I'm sure you also have a ton of lessons learned. Like what are some things you learned, about yourself in the pipeline? And what advice would you have, knowing what you know now, looking back on it, with hindsight being 2020, and you were going to give somebody that's just about to make their journey going into TACP to try this thing. What advice would you give them, and what did you learn from it?
Oh man. Well, you just have to learn how to fail. And not you can't let that get you down, because I had failed a few times up to that point, and you just have to keep on trucking. My one of the guys, he was going through the PJ assessment there. He's like, you got to burn all the boats. I don't know if you've heard that. I don't know. It's a parable of story.
I've never
heard that one.
It's one of the worst slogans.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
I'll tell you what, if there's any company that uses it as a tagline, not supporting that company, not one bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Actually,
Here we go.
Oh no, shit.
And that would be available. That would be available on bapj.com.
Hashtag it out. So, and we just did a podcast just recently on how to fail and how to make failure kind of work for you or fail forward. So that's awesome.
That one. Yeah.
I like that one too, because I got to hear myself talk, and that's my favorite thing. So,
yeah. And you know what? I can get you one of those flags too.
Oh,
yes.
You know the guy.
You don't have a flag.
I kind of, I know a little bit.
That's awesome. I just wish I had trained differently for it. Like, I knew nothing about nutrition when I went through. I'm pretty sure through this quarantine is the most I've stretched probably ever in my life. I didn't stretch they're here. I had a lacrosse ball, but I never used it. And I had a foam roller. I just kind of looked at it. I was just kind of I'm sore. I'm going to go to sleep. So I wish I had done a lot more recovery.
That is insane to me to hear that you just basically went in blind. You're like, oh yeah, I mean, let's go ahead and see if I can throw my hand in this wood chipper.
I know. I just kind of get, because I knew enough about lifting. I ran a Division I track in college. So I knew enough about lifting, but I didn't recover as well as I should have, or nutrition. My gosh, my husband taught me all about, those magical thing called macros, how much protein you're supposed to be eating, cut out sugar, all this stuff that you're supposed to do. I wish I had known about that. I wish I had stretched more, not necessarily yoga, but there's a lot of stretching that you can do for recovery that's not quite as woo-woo, if you will.
Oh,
if you're not into the woo-woo.
Yeah, I love the woo-woo. Bring on the woo-woo.
I'll take the woo-woo. I've been doing woo-woo lately. But again, the Kelly Starrett's, Supple Leopard, so a lot of mobility stuff. I know we just started up a new company, I think, called The Ready State now. But fantastic stuff that I wish I had known when I came in. Absolutely.
I've been doing 20-minute stretches by this guy, Tom Merrick, the body weight warrior, but he does all crazy awesome stretches, a lot of squat mobility, hip mobility, shoulders, all kinds of goodness. And he'll do stretches where I didn't even know I could bend that way, and why is that burning? Oh God.
Congratulations, you just made a sound clip. We're gonna isolate that one pretty tough.
Mark that one.
Mark it down, and here we go. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
So I want to know, looking back, how much fun looking back, how much fun was it, or what were the good times, the growth moments, or how many of those moments did you have where it sucked, but it was also you got done and y'all had a good time? Any of those things ever happen, or was it just a giant suck down fest the whole time?
No way. Every day. Because there's always something I'd never done before. I learned how to program radios. I can barely function my cell phone, and I'm holy shit! I passed radios. I did the thing.
Hey, everybody, I did the thing.
It was amazing. Land nav was huge for me, because sometimes I'll still get lost in the mall parking lot. I got unlost in the dark. That's amazing, using that magical compass. So every day. And then the guys, they're just so motivating. you just have these gung-ho dudes just getting after it every day. I'm learning from them. They took care of me every single day. So it was awesome. I miss the team aspect and the dudes for sure.
I think that's awesome. You got that's great to hear that you got accepted and they pulled you in, and they probably didn't look at you any different than anyone else either.
No. And that's what was amazing. And they taught me so much because I didn't know anything about boot and foot care. Zero. First run.
Oh, man, come on. That is the best. Like, nothing about nutrition, no mobility, nothing. You're just a Division I athlete, and then you were just like, all right, let's do this thing.
I know. So after the first ruck, like I had these massive blisters that as I walked through, all the guys were like, oh.
Were those massive ones, and then you're just like, I don't know whether I should pop this or not, but it hurts really, really bad.
Oh yeah, I had to go with the popping because I couldn't get my boots back on. But yeah, they taught me, that this magical thing called foot powder. It's amazing.
A little gold bond.
I know, right? Yeah, and they helped me because none of the gear fit me. So one of my airmen, Travis Ross, like he just sat me down. He's like, this is how you adjust your body armor. This is how we can make all your stuff fit you. Like I had no idea how to make all the adjustments, how to pull it apart. And he took the time on a weekend and just fixed me, which made it so much easier for me to run in the LBE, because now it's not like shaking like this. It's like actually like snug to my body. So it was awesome. So moments like that, they're just so great.
Yeah, you brought up the nutrition part. I just want to revisit that real quick because I had a very similar experience to you in terms of nutrition that, much like you, I didn't know about. And it was while I was at dive school, I could slowly start seeing my fin swims out in the open water decreasing, and I was getting really, really close not to passing. And one instructor, actually, not a fellow student, but an instructor, pulled me aside and said, "You're not eating enough." I'm like, dude, I am stuffing my face at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He goes, "That's not enough. You were burning, X amount of calories, and you're not taking in enough. So what you need to do is you need to grab a whole bunch of milk and cookies and chips and whatever you want to eat, and wake up at midnight and just stuff your face and then go back to sleep." Because I was thinking that the sleep was more important at that point, which was, but I needed the calories. And it was like day one that I started doing that new routine. And I just felt incredible throughout, not just the swims, but everything else. My numbers just started improving.
Yeah, I had to learn how to eat before working out, because all my life it was always like fasted, whatever, because like before track meets, I'd never eat anything because I just didn't want to throw up for some reason after the race. But during the prep course, they made you eat. So even though I wanted to throw up my oatmeal because I wasn't hungry, just choking that down like gets you through.
100%. And we had guys that would show up to the pass test. We used to do on day one after they showed up from basic training. They'd meet us, we'd do a pass test, and then they'd run with it. And a lot of guys didn't end up, they did the fasted thing because they're used to it. You can do a 20-minute, 30-minute CrossFit workout fasted and you'll be fine because you pound whatever afterwards. You go out, eat a breakfast burrito with your buddies or whatever. But when you're doing like a pass test and a back-to-back over hours, a lot of them ended up throwing up just water or whatever Gatorade they had in their stomach because they're pounding, yogurt, Gatorade, apple, banana, like everything with sugar, and it's just going to come up. So yeah, that is huge for the students, and we made them wake up like 2 hours early. Like you were saying, Peach, wake up 2 hours early, go to the chow hall, eat together, everything as a team all the time. And you have time to digest that. And you could take another nap after you're done eating or whatever, like a 20-minute as you're just chilling. And then you take one after like lunch when you're getting ready for the pool sessions and everything. But definitely pounding down those calories is what gets you through that day, because it's just going to be a constant grind, endurance race.
Yes.
Grind.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so, if you're worried about maintaining like a 9% body fat or whatever, and you're entering the pipeline, like that's not the time.
No.
Like you're going to end up with a 6-pack whether you want to or not. Like 99% of the folks that make it through the pipeline. So you need all those calories, all of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you're not there to get a six-pack anyways. You're there to perform, and that's more important than having that six-pack. Even if you have a little bit of extra on there, and as long as you perform, then you perform.
I live my life like that.
Yeah.
Like combat chassis.
Just a little bit of extra reserves, yeah.
Never know when you're going to be able to eat again. You never know when you're going to be able to sleep again, so I just keep a little on me.
Hey, if you need to lay down and take a nap, you don't know when the next time you're going to be able to sleep is. You get them Z's.
Yes.
Take that little snooze. Well, Amanda, thanks very much for coming on. It was great to hear everything that you brought to the table and all the stuff you tried. I wanted to end here. Any way you're going back? I was off the call for a second, but you got another shot in you or what?
I don't think I can because I'm too high in rank because I'm a major now.
Oh,
so yep. Because my husband actually made it. He was going to try and cross-train into the Air Force from the Army, and he made it through AAA as well, and had such a hard time. The Army wouldn't let him go. So by the time they were willing to let him go, he was too high in rank as well. So we're both a ship has sailed, unfortunately.
It is what it is.
I know, but hopefully I can help. Yeah. Hopefully I can help other people make it through.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And are you okay? Do you want to put out some socials, or are you okay with people asking you questions direct once they hear this? The tens of people that are our followers.
The tens of people. No, please, absolutely. My Instagram is I am Amanda Joy, and that's usually where I do all of my stuff. I'm not super huge into Facebook, so absolutely any questions, any training advice. Especially for if any females have questions, because you definitely need to train a little bit differently based on how your body handles how you bear weight. So, for sure.
Okay, that's awesome. I'll make sure to put the handle in the show notes and on the YouTube
Awesome.
and stuff, so people can check it out from there. Brian, you want to wrap it up for us?
Yeah, again, man, I really appreciate you coming on here and talking to us, a different perspective, the TACP, specifically selection. We haven't been able to get anybody on there to talk about that specifically, so I appreciate you talking about that and some of your struggles and the things that you went through. I think overall, listening to the things that you went through, a big point, and this is true for all of us that go through selection, pride kind of takes over whenever you start to suck, and you don't want to be that person that is, on the side of the gun looking like you're struggling the most. Because I said the same thing in a couple of the podcasts that we've done. Is just like you look over and you're like, you know what, I can do this. If this guy's still there, I can freaking do this. Because whatever you got to say to motivate yourself.
Absolutely.
But a little bit of that pride.
Usually people looking at me going, dude, this dude's still here. Are you kidding me?
Assuming they could find you, but
yeah. Well, they were looking too high, so.
Yeah, but it's always that competitive edge that gets us going. Like, no one's going to beat me. I'm going to do my absolute best. And, that's what it sounds like. 100%. And at the end of the day, when you've done your best and 100% of what you could do and you make the best of the situation you got, then that's, you can walk with your head held high. And that's what I could tell everybody. So I appreciate you also sharing that with us, because again, we talked about failures on last week's episode, but it's not an easy thing to talk about, especially when at least 10 people are listening to it. So,
yes.
At least you're not wrong.
Yeah, and 5 of them are right here. So, now I appreciate you coming on here. And again, go ahead and reach out to her if any females have any questions. You guys can also reach out to us or anything if you have any questions at any time. Go check out the website. We're going to be putting a couple of updates on there and some new stickers and stuff that we just got in. We're going to be selling those. So check those out. And again, if you guys ever have any questions or need any advice on any of the career fields, you can always hit us up. And we are here for you. Any shows that you want to see us do or any people that you want to see us interview, then we'll welcome any recommendations. So again, thank you for taking the time, Amanda, to come out here and talk to us. Anytime you want to come back on, just let us know.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
No problem. All right, you guys go out there and train hard, like Aaron said.
Burn the boats.
And burn the boats.
I want a flag now.
Oh.